I assume that that's what needs to happen. And so I was really putting this machine through a lot by running it like I did. Probably save that for the top. This is a beautiful piece of wood right there. Look at that. Nice one big plank. Just shy of 10 inches wide. That's nice. All right, I'm gonna set that aside. We're looking at about 7/8 thick. So finished, it'll be about 3/4. When you rough saw your lumber, what happens is, you end up with boards that are different thicknesses. And so I measured that one at 7/8. So then I'm going ahead and I'm just planing them all at 7/8 just to get rid of some of the wave. Now I'm gonna flip them over and I'll probably go down another, a 32nd or so. I think my planer knives, I don't know, I'm throwing good chips, everybody. Maybe I'm throwing dust. Maybe I just need to flip those planer knives. I think I'm gonna try it. What happens is when this wood gets planed down, it gets sticky on the deck as it has all that surface area. I have it unplugged for safety. I'm gonna take off this top cover and take a look at what's going on in here. I think this is a 3-cutter setup. Oh. Mouse nest in here. Didn't realize that. That should not be a surprise. Mouse nest. I don't see any chews, so that's good. I've never done this on this planer. It's actually been years since I've done this. I'm gonna see, I assume that that's what needs to happen. Okay. All right, so yeah, those knives don't feel super sharp anymore. I've not changed planer knives in this this Dewalt planer before. Tip: when you take out all these fasteners, have a place to set them. I use an old muffin tin my wife had. I put through the dishwasher and ruined the finish on, so now it became a parts tray. I've been breaking each one of these fasteners loose with the provided tool, and then as soon as it's broken loose, I then go ahead and use a tool just to get them out the rest of the way. Tip: I don't know, I haven't read the instruction manual, but what I've done to get this to spin is I've put my hand, I have this unplugged, everybody. This is unplugged, there's no power to it. What I'm doing is I'm grabbing the fan right here, right in here, and also there's this belt here, and I grab them with both hands. I can rotate it. So let's see if I can get that to cooperate here. So I'll just show you. Oops, it's going to be a little hard to see, but I just turned this wheel, and I'm going to go ahead and pull off the plate. Let me pop off this plate. There we go. Planer knives come out nicely. So I've got some pitch buildup. Okay, on the knives, this edge also is not very sharp. Well, let me see here. That feels pretty sharp. Yeah, I think this is dull. I think this edge is dull here, everybody. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these up with some solvent, flip the knives, and I'll be back and we'll go ahead and reinstall them. I went ahead and cleaned off these blades. I've gone ahead and flipped this blade, so the new surface, the new cutting edges, basically I flipped it so I'd have a new edge. First time I've flipped these. Pine definitely has a little bit of a pitch factor to it there for sure. Let me go ahead and set this retaining bar on here. Start a couple of these. There's a little bit of an adjustment side to side on that blade. I think, like, if you've run a planer any amount of time, you end up getting some nicks in the planer knives, and I don't know if that's so you can push them side to side. All I know is that the knife hangs over, and so I'm just going to go ahead and I just centered it. I know it might be best practice to just go one way or the other. Now, I'm not going to tighten these all the way up with this. I'm just going to go ahead and get them most of the way down, so that way I don't have to tighten it by hand. I don't have to worry about setting depth because there's pins. There's pins on this, and so I don't have to worry about whether or not the knives are going to be parallel with one another. It's actually not too bad to do this, especially if you take your drill and you can put that Torx adapter on there. That way you don't have to thread these all out by hand. Okay, so one knife is in. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this around to the next one. There we go. What I'm doing is I'm making sure there's none of this pitch buildup along this edge here. I have a feeling I'm going to blow this around forever. Make sure the back surface is clear. And you can see it's got these pins. It will basically drop into place. You can't do it wrong. I guess you could put it backwards. I mean, flip it over and put the knives the wrong direction. I noticed that the letter and the G with the diamond on it was the other way, the other orientation last time. This is a pretty darn easy process. I've only ever owned a rigid planer besides this. I had that years ago. I didn't get rid of it for any other particular reason other than I wasn't using it at the time. And so it got sold. Do the ends. Hopefully this will cut better and cleaner, and I have a feeling that it's not going to solve my problem. We'll see. We will see. I think just this pine is just super tacky with the pitch on it, and the pitch has not been set because these were not kiln dried. Local sawmill says that on this shortleaf pine that they need to get heated up to a certain point so that the pitch hardens up, and that has not happened. Some of the boards have a tendency to stay a little bit on the tackier side. This machine is a nice machine. My only experience with it has been with the shortleaf pine. And so any of my lack of enthusiasm to plane, I don't think can be attributed to the machine. I think it's more the material and the amount of material. All the deck boards I've done have gone through here. The boards I'm standing on have gone through this, okay? And we took off a lot of material. So I think it's about time, it's past due to do this, I believe. I don't know how many board feet you can really do on planer knives. But it seems like in the shop they lasted a long time when I worked in the wood shop, but maybe I was just unaware of how often that equipment got maintained. Maybe it happened after hours when the owner was there by himself. I don't know. I feel like that was not the case though. All right, here, so let's go ahead and tighten these up. On. I feel too like this is a good way to actually put the final tightening on these bolts here, because this T-handle here gives you enough leverage. They probably have it set so that way you can't get too crazy with it, but you can get it tight enough. They have to think about that kind of stuff. All my planer knives are back in. Go ahead and throw this on here. Very simple machine. It's easy. That was very easy. I didn't look in the book. Like I said, I've never done this on this machine, and if I've done it, well, when I have done it, it was done on that rigid, and that was probably about 14 years ago, 13 years ago or so. So it's not like this is something that I do all the time. Pretty self-explanatory, you know, big red knobs here. Take off the cover. This tool has the wrench in the top cover, which is so cool. I like that. I like tool storage. I'm a sucker for that. Tool storage on the equipment when it makes sense. I don't want a pro chainsaw with that, but something like this, absolutely. Tool storage on the tool. Awesome. We're gonna get to find out if that was worth my time. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it needed it. It's got to be hard on the motor running less than optimal knives. And I've got plenty of planing to do. So if you saw the mounds of chips I've produced with this thing, it's probably about time. And I do have another set of knives for this. I just don't know where they are because of moving and all that. I bet you I have them in a smart location, but I just got to figure out what that smart location is. All right, that's where that tool goes. Right there, super handy. I think that's what it needed. I think I just saw a mosquito. You kidding me? Oh, it's December. Lesson learned here. Just like with chainsaws, I should have known better, but to be honest with you, I started planing before I've been a woodworker for much longer than I've been running a saw. But I can tell you this right now, this machine is absolutely a champ. And the reason why I'm gonna say that is all this that I've been walking on, all the deck here that you see, okay? All of this down the other side, every project in my home. I haven't shown you every project, but I've done my pantries. I've done the closet. There's a lot of wood in the pantries and the closet. I planed down these boards, and this is rough sawn material that was air dried, and it's a little tacky, right? So this right here has done a phenomenal job. That was the first flip of the knives, everybody. I'm embarrassed. I almost don't want to even say that, but that was the first flip of the knives. And the reason why that was the first flip of the knives is out of dread of doing it. I was kind of concerned about it. And as you saw, it's very easy. It took me maybe 15 minutes. And that was having to clean the knives off. If I was just milling walnut or oak, I don't think that would have that buildup like it did. Also, the other reason why I didn't flip it is I didn't think it needed it. And the reason why I didn't think it needed it was because it was still, wasn't throwing dust. I don't know, I'm throwing good chips, everybody. Maybe I'm throwing dust. Maybe I just need to flip those planer knives. I think I'm gonna try it. Now, in hindsight, it was throwing less of a fine chip. And so I was really putting this machine through a lot by running it like I did. I don't know what the guidelines are. I think it's like with a kitchen knife, right? When you're cutting tomatoes, if you have one that will cut nice thin slices off of a tomato, you know, at some point you're gonna realize, yeah, this isn't working optimally, probably should change it. I milled, or I planed a ton of material past the point where this was squashing the tomato rather than finely slicing it. And for that, I apologize, DeWalt. I had a little bit of a negative image on you, and that's as stupid as running a chainsaw with a dull chain and blaming Steel, Husqvarna, or Echo because you burned it up. That's flat out the honest truth. And so I can recommend this machine. I've put it through its paces, I believe. Obviously, I've only run that one set of knives through it, but I mean, here, I'll just show you. I mean, good grief. Okay, you've already seen this, different focus here, but and this stuff, guys, was like 1 1/8, and I milled it down to, I probably took about 3/16 off of each of these boards right here, I'd say. Somewhere around there, because it was rough sawn. Planed both sides, all these boards, all of those boards, and I'm telling you, probably another, at least half that many boards on that first edge of the knives. Not even the first flip, the first edge. And I was struggling. Nobody's fault but my own. I will go ahead and put a link in the, for Amazon. That's actually where I purchased this. I purchased this on Amazon. It shipped well. A couple years ago. It was the best price I could find it. It came no problem at all. You'll read some reviews of people having some like broken bases and whatnot. Mine didn't have anything like that. Came with extra knives, which was awesome. And I want to say it was cheaper than Lowe's or anywhere else at the time with the extra knives. And so I will go ahead and put a link on this machine. This is a very, very common machine. It works very well having these 4 posts, and it is a 3-knife cutter head. And I read a lot of reviews. This was not a cheap machine. And it's also got this 2-speed transmission. You can do finishing cuts or 96 cuts per inch versus 179 cuts per inch. And I always run it because I'm always putting pine through it, and I cut, and I don't take a lot off. I take off like a 30-second at a time. And so this machine here, for sure, is an awesome one. I think I'm done with this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and process these down. This is for my wife's Christmas present that she requested. She wanted a place to be able to hide the shoes. And so I think I've got enough boards here to get the sides done. I'm not working on the top yet, but boy, that is pretty wood. This is pine. This is that type of pine right there, milled off of this property with my Frontier sawmill. And it's been air drying for a few years now, and it's wonderful to use. It's beautiful, beautiful wood. Generally pretty clear. This does have a little bit of knots in it, but man, it's so pretty. Nice tight grain, nice stuff. I've milled lots of these logs, lots of them. Some of them up to 24 inches in diameter. Many of them between 12 and 18.